Welcome back to my channel, the only place that pulls back the curtain and shows you what really happened behind the scenes of the Brown family empire. We open on Coyote Pass, a stretch of land once sold to the world as the Browns' forever dream. But today, that dream looks more like a graveyard of broken promises. The camera drifts over the golden Arizona dust, catching the faint outline of a concrete pad. Cold, empty, abandoned. And then a sound, the low growl of a diesel engine. A massive fifth-wheel RV is being hitched to a truck. The windows are dark, the slide-out sealed. It's not just a move, it's a retreat. From somewhere in the distance, a familiar voice cuts through. Kody Brown, confident, smug, detached. "She left it," he says. "It's ours now. You make an improvement on the landowner gets to keep it. That's just the way it works." But as the RV disappears down the dirt road, swallowed by its own cloud of dust, the truth becomes painfully clear. He thought he could keep what she built. He was wrong. This is not just a story about concrete and plumbing. It's a story about greed, betrayal, and one woman's refusal to be silenced. If you believe Janelle Brown deserves every ounce of peace, freedom, and justice after everything she's endured, smash that like button right now, because what we're about to uncover will leave you speechless. Let's rewind. To the beginning. To the moment everything started to crumble. The Browns' move to Flagstaff wasn't about unity or faith. It was, as multiple insiders reveal, a decision driven by Robyn, a desperate mother wanting to be closer to her son Dayton at college. And with that one move, the fuse was lit. They arrived in Arizona with a dream, Coyote Pass, acres of untouched beauty that Kody promised would one day hold 4 homes, side by side, under one big sky. He sold it like a preacher selling salvation, arms outstretched, voice booming, promising each wife her own kingdom. He promised autonomy. He promised equity. But Kody's promises have a shorter shelf life than milk left out in the Arizona sun. The land sat idle. The weeds grew tall. And resentment grew even taller. While the Browns burned through their savings on rent and mortgages, Coyote Pass rotted in silence. Kody, paralyzed by indecision, or worse, by his total financial dependence on Robyn, watched it all collapse. Every plan questioned, every dream delayed, every dollar controlled. And then, in the middle of that chaos, one woman stood up. Janelle Brown, the pragmatist, the builder, the survivor. When her rental home was suddenly sold out from under her and the Flagstaff housing market became a nightmare, she made a choice no one saw coming. She looked at that barren land and saw not failure, but freedom. So she did what Kody never had the courage to do. She built something real. She bought a fifth-wheel RV. She parked it on Coyote Pass. And for the first time in years, she took control of her own destiny. To outsiders, it looked desperate, a woman living in a trailer. But insiders knew better. This wasn't surrender. It was rebellion. Janelle was the only one who ever truly broke ground on the dream Kody sold. But building a life on raw land isn't cheap, and Janelle did it all herself. First, the pad. $12,000 for excavation, grading, and concrete. Then, the septic system, engineered, permitted, and installed, $8,000. Next, power, running electricity from the main road, trenching, conduit, hookups, $15,000 more. In total, over $35,000, and here's the kicker. Every single penny came from Janelle's own pocket. No family fund, no help from Kody, no contribution from Robyn, just Janelle. Her savings, her sweat, her faith in a dream she believed was still worth building. And yet, Kody thought he could claim it, that he could profit from her pain, that the land and the foundation she built with her own 2 hands belonged to him. He couldn't have been more wrong. Because as we'll soon reveal, that concrete pad isn't just a piece of land. It's the smoking gun in the legal and emotional war that finally exposed the biggest lie at the heart of the Brown family's final years. Stay with us, because what comes next will change everything you thought you knew about Coyote Pass, Kody Brown, and the woman who refused to be erased. Where we don't just tell the story, we expose the truth behind it. This wasn't just $35,000 in concrete and conduit. This was Janelle Brown's investment in her future. Her dream, her home. Her proof that the promises Kody once made weren't all empty air. And at first, Kody was her biggest cheerleader. He praised her drive. He called her smart, brave, unstoppable. We're told that Janelle still has the receipts. An entire archive of text messages where Kody practically worshipped her determination. This is awesome, Janelle. You're finally making it happen. Go for it. Make it amazing. That's your forever spot. You're paving the way for all of us. Those are Kody's own words, glowing, supportive, encouraging. But as one legal analyst told us, those very words may come back to haunt him in court. Because while Kody appeared thrilled on the surface, insiders say that thrill was never about Janelle's happiness. It was about his gain. Kody, ever the opportunist, saw what Janelle was doing and realized he had found the perfect loophole. She was pouring her life savings into improving land he co-owned. Every dollar she spent made his property more valuable, and he didn't have to lift a finger. He got the credit, the progress, and the praise, while Janelle took on all the risk. Permits, contractors, septic engineering, all of it. He watched from the comfort of Robyn's spacious house, never offering a dime, never once suggesting the family reimburse her. Because in Kody's mind, her effort wasn't partnership, it was convenience. Her devotion was his profit. And hidden beneath all that encouragement was a trap, the legal poison pill buried deep in the fine print of Coyote Pass. When the land was purchased, each wife was assigned her own parcel. Christine had one, Mary had one, Janelle had one. And the most desirable parcel, and the one with the prime access, the view, the best potential for building, was titled under Kody and Robyn Brown. And that's exactly where Kody encouraged Janelle to build. He told her it was just a formality, that they'd sort out the paperwork later. He told her, it's all our land, Janelle. What's mine is yours. He told her to trust him, and she did. She poured $35,000 into property that, on paper, belonged entirely to Kody and Robyn. For a while it worked. She loved her independence. She had her greenhouse, her view of the San Francisco peaks, and a peace she hadn't known in years. But then Kody's visits stopped. The family unity vanished. The dream of one big house was replaced by bickering over lot lines and water access. And Kody's focus? It narrowed to one location, Robyn's mansion. Janelle's RV pad, once a symbol of her resilience, became just another convenience for Kody's occasional visits. He parked there sometimes, but never came to see her. Then came the moment of realization. Janelle looked at the deed and saw the truth, 2 names, Kody Brown and Robyn Brown. Her name was nowhere. Every promise of we'll figure it out later suddenly sounded like a carefully rehearsed deception. She had sunk her life savings into someone else's land. The marriage was over, emotionally, financially, spiritually. And Janelle, ever the businesswoman, knew she had to protect herself. So she confronted him. No yelling, no tears. Just quiet, measured resolve. She told Kody she was leaving, that she was selling her RV, starting a new life near Christine in Utah, and she expected to be reimbursed for the $35,000 she invested in his property. She wasn't asking for interest. She wasn't asking for profit. Just what was fair. But fairness has never been Kody Brown's language. According to insiders, his reaction was pure disbelief, followed by that trademark smugness we've seen too many times before. He leaned back, smirked, and said words that would ignite the firestorm still raging today. No, absolutely not. You need to understand how the world works, Janelle. It's called fixtures. Anything permanently attached to the land becomes part of the land. That means it's mine and Robyn's now. You made a gift. A gift. That was Kody's argument. That her investment, her septic system, her concrete pad, her electrical work were all gifts to him and Robyn. In that moment, Janelle realized what had really been happening all along. Kody wasn't confused about the law. He was weaponizing it. He'd taken her trust, her money, her faith, and tried to bury it under a false legal technicality he probably Googled 5 minutes before the argument. It wasn't just heartless, it was predatory. And it's the reason Janelle Brown decided to stop being silent and start fighting back. And start fighting back, where truth isn't whispered. It's dragged into the light. What you're about to hear is the moment everything changed. The moment Janelle Brown stopped being the quiet, loyal wife and became a woman determined to make Kody and Robyn face the very justice they thought they could outrun. She tried to reason with him, calmly, rationally, with the same level-headedness that had once kept their chaotic family from collapsing. She brought up the text messages, his constant encouragement, his endless reassurances that the RV pad was hers. She reminded him of the nights they sat together, dreaming aloud about the future he said was their future. But Kody just waved his hand dismissively, as if all those promises meant nothing. That was just talk, Janelle. Pillow talk. It's not legally binding. The deed is what's binding, and your name isn't on it. Those words, cold, smug, heartless, hit her like a slap. And what did Robyn do? According to insiders, she stood right there beside him, adopting that wide-eyed, trembling lip innocence she's perfected over the years. When Janelle looked at her, silently pleading for fairness, Robyn allegedly wrung her hands and whispered, "Oh, I don't understand any of this legal stuff. It's so confusing. I just trust Kody to handle the business things." It was the performance of a lifetime. A mask of confusion hiding the calculation beneath. The classic Robyn move, plausible deniability. Play the helpless wife while quietly backing the theft. But Janelle saw it. She saw everything. The greed in Kody's eyes. The guilt disguised as innocence on Robyn's face. She knew in that moment reasoning was useless. She had been played. Her trust twisted. Her investment stolen. And as she turned and walked away from that house, the shock in her eyes hardened into something new. Resolve. Cold, sharp, unyielding. Kody and Robyn thought they had beaten her, that she'd just accept the loss and fade quietly into the Arizona dust. But they had no idea who they were dealing with. Janelle Brown wasn't walking away broken. She was walking straight to a lawyer's office. What came next would shake the entire Brown empire to its core. A lawsuit, filed under the piercing desert sun. Plaintiff, Janelle Brown. Defendants, Kody and Robyn Brown. Charges, unjust enrichment. Damages sought, not just $35,000, but additional compensation for emotional and financial harm. When the process server arrived at Robyn's mansion, that symbol of excess and favoritism, the shock was seismic. Kody, according to sources, went ballistic. He stormed through the house, shouting about betrayal, loyalty, and how ungrateful Janelle was. "How dare she?" he roared. "After everything I've done for her. I gave her a family. I gave her children. And she repays me by suing me?" But what he really meant was this. How dare she challenge my control? How dare she hit me where it hurts? My pride, my money, my image. Meanwhile, Robyn burst into tears, her go-to defense mechanism. "Why is she doing this to us, Kody?" She reportedly sobbed. "I thought we were family. This must be Christine poisoning her mind again." There it was, the familiar script. In Robyn's world, no one ever leaves because of Kody's abuse or manipulation. There's always a villain, and it's always Christine. But this time the story was different. Janelle wasn't anyone's puppet. She wasn't poisoned or influenced. She was done being robbed. Kody, ever arrogant, quickly found a local attorney who allegedly told him what he wanted to hear, that he had a strong case, that the law was on his side. He clung to one concept, fixtures, that anything permanently attached to land becomes part of the property. But what he didn't understand, and what his lawyer failed to warn him, is that fixtures law wasn't meant to be a weapon for a husband to defraud his wife. It's a landlord-tenant rule, not a loophole for emotional thieves. Still, Kody swaggered into court convinced he'd humiliate Janelle. He imagined cameras flashing, headlines praising his victory, but while he was playing checkers, Janelle's lawyer was playing chess. Described by one insider as a shark in a sensible pantsuit, her attorney built the case not on fixtures, but on unjust enrichment, the legal principle that no one should profit from another person's labor or investment through deceit. And she had ammunition. Those texts, those damning, self-incriminating messages Kody never deleted. During discovery, when the lawyers exchanged evidence, Kody was forced to turn them over. Text after text showed a pattern of deceit. Him urging her to build, reassuring her it was her land, promising to figure the deed out later. But one message sealed his fate. The smoking gun. Janelle, are you sure about me spending this much money on your and Robyn's lot? Kody, it's not my lot. It's your lot. Build your nest. It'll be amazing. That single text shattered his entire defense. It proved intent, understanding, and mutual agreement. It turned his smug grin into pure panic. When he was confronted with it during his sworn deposition, witnesses say Kody's composure cracked. He grew defensive, stuttering, trying to twist his words. He insisted he was just being supportive, not literal. But Janelle's lawyer didn't flinch. Coolly, she asked, "Mr. Brown, when you said it's not my lot, it's your lot, what exactly did you mean? If not that you considered it hers?" Silence. Kody sputtered, contradicted himself, his arrogance unraveling. Meanwhile, Robyn's deposition was, as one insider put it, a masterclass in weaponized incompetence. She claimed she couldn't recall details, didn't understand finances, and cried through half the questioning. But the lawyer wasn't fooled. She established one fact clearly. Robyn was a co-owner. She knew Janelle was investing money. She benefited from it. And she did nothing to stop or reimburse her. Ignorance, the lawyer reminded her, is not a defense. Then came the moment that changed everything. An unexpected star witness. Christine Brown. Calm, composed, fearless. Christine testified under oath that for years, the Brown family operated on verbal agreements and trust. That promises made by Kody were treated as binding, sacred even. That every wife believed his word was law. And now that very pattern, that history of manipulation disguised as leadership, was about to be used against him in court. And then the explosion came. Kody slammed the door so hard the sound ricocheted through the empty house like a gunshot. A picture frame on the entryway table toppled over, their last remaining happy family photo from the TLC years. The glass cracked clean down the middle, slicing his reflection in half. $70,000! He roared, pacing like a caged animal. $70,000 for what? For a few pipes in the ground and a slab of concrete? Robyn flinched but said nothing. Her hands trembled as she set her purse on the counter. Kody, please, don't please me right now. He snapped, whirling on her. You said the judge would see through it. You said she'd understand that this was family business. Robyn's voice was barely above a whisper. I didn't know it would go like this. I thought, he cut her off. You thought wrong. You always think wrong when it matters. She gasped, tears welling. That's not fair. You were the one who refused to settle. You said you wanted to fight it. You said we'd win because the land was ours. Kody stopped, his chest heaving. I wasn't going to let her make me look like some kind of thief. He pounded his chest. I built this family. I provided for everyone. And now every single one of them is standing in line to take from me. Robyn's sobs broke through the tension, ragged and unrestrained. They hate us, Kody, don't you see? Christine, Mary, Janelle, they all want you punished. And now they're getting it. Piece by piece. Kody turned away, running a hand through his hair, his voice dropping into something colder. They're jealous. That's all this ever was, jealousy. Because I finally found peace with you. Robyn shook her head. Peace? She whispered. Does this look like peace to you? Her voice cracked on the last word. We're buried in debt, the kids won't talk to us, and now we've got to lean on the land. This? She gestured wildly at the mansion, the empty hallways echoing their own bitterness. This isn't peace, Kody. It's a graveyard. For a moment, the air was still. Then Kody laughed, a hollow, bitter sound that didn't reach his eyes. You know what? Maybe I'm the only one still fighting. The rest of you gave up. Janelle walks out, Christine cashes her TLC checks, and I'm the villain for trying to protect what's mine. Robyn's tears spilled over. What's yours? She cried. You mean ours? Because from where I'm standing, everything that used to be ours is slipping away. He turned sharply, eyes blazing. Don't start with me, Robyn. I've got everyone coming for my throat, and I don't need you adding to it. Her voice trembled, but she met his glare head-on. Then who do you need, Kody? Because it sure isn't me anymore. The words hit him like a slap. For a moment, all his bluster fell away. He stared at her, the tears, the trembling lip, the exhaustion carved into her face. The silence that followed was thick, suffocating. He finally muttered, We'll appeal. We'll find another way. Robyn just shook her head. You can't appeal fairness, she said quietly. The judge saw the truth. And deep down, so do you. Kody didn't respond. He just stood there, eyes fixed on the broken photo on the floor, the one with the crack slicing straight between him and Robyn. Outside, the lights of Flagstaff flickered in the distance. Inside, the once mighty patriarch of the Brown family stood motionless, surrounded by silence, defeat, and the ghosts of every promise he'd ever broken. And for the first time in a very long time, Kody Brown had nothing left to say. He threw his keys so hard against the wall that they didn't just hit, they shattered the silence. The metallic clang echoed through the vaulted ceilings of the McMansion, followed by a dull thud as they struck the plaster and left a small, jagged chip. a wound in the wall that perfectly matched the one tearing open inside his ego. Kody Brown stood there for a moment, chest heaving, eyes wild, his face twisted in disbelief. Then he began to pace, back and forth like a lion trapped in a glass cage, unable to understand how the crowd outside had turned against its once proud king. The growl began deep in his throat, low, guttural, the sound of a man who could no longer distinguish rage from fear. Within seconds, it became a roar, the kind of roar that wasn't meant for anyone to answer. But of course, the fury wasn't turned inward. In Kody's universe, self-reflection was a foreign language. He was never the problem, never the cause, never the villain. The blame was an aerosol mist he sprayed across every inch of the room, toxic and choking, filling the air with denial. "The judge!" he bellowed, veins pulsing at his temple. "She's an activist. She doesn't understand family. She doesn't understand our structure. She's just another liberal feminist who wanted to make an example of me. This wasn't a court of law, it was a damn witch trial." He stomped around the great room, his boots striking the marble floor with each self-righteous word. In his mind, this was a conspiracy, a political hit job. The system was corrupt. The world was biased. The entire universe was out to humiliate him. And then the poison shifted targets. "Janelle!" He spat the name like venom. She sat there, in that courtroom, with that smug look on her face. She knew what she was doing. 25 years I gave her. 25 years. I gave her 6 children, a roof over her head, a name, a life. And this is the thanks I get? Dragged into court like a criminal? He conveniently forgot the decades Janelle spent as the family's backbone, the one working, budgeting, and sacrificing while he chased cameras and fantasies of patriarchal grandeur. In Kody's rewritten history, he was the provider, the magnanimous king, and Janelle was the ungrateful servant who dared to demand fairness. But even that rage wasn't enough to fill the void. So his fury found its oldest, most familiar target. "Christine," he growled, his voice trembling now with something darker. "This is her doing. Janelle never would have had the guts to go through with this on her own. Christine's been whispering in her ear, poisoning her, turning her against me. This is her revenge. She's been plotting this ever since I didn't love her the way she wanted. She's the puppet master, pulling all the strings." Across the room, Robyn finally lifted her tear-streaked face from her tissue-strewn lap. Her voice, small and tremulous, found the easiest route: agreement. "You're right, Kody," she whimpered. "It's Christine. Janelle changed after she started spending time with her. Christine's bitter. She just wants everyone miserable like she is. Why is she doing this to our family? Why to my kids?" And there it was, the language of ownership. Our family, my kids. The $70,000 judgment wasn't about fairness to her. It was a personal attack, a theft from the mouths of Solomon and Ariella. In her mind, Janelle's fight for justice wasn't restitution. It was cruelty. It was betrayal. For hours, they spiraled, alternating between sobbing self-pity and volcanic anger. They were a duet of delusion, feeding off each other's denial. In their eyes, they were the victims. The world was unfair. The courts were corrupt. Their enemies were everywhere. But beneath the noise and theatrics lay a quieter, colder truth. They were broke. House rich, cash poor. $1 million property, mountain of debt. Mortgage payments hanging over them like a guillotine. Every dollar from TLC already pre-assigned to cover the essentials. The taxes, the mansion, the cars, the private school tuition, the appearances of success. And then there were the whispers, the ones financial insiders could confirm. The mountain of credit card debt. The rumors that Robyn's shopping habits at high-end boutiques were bleeding them dry. The kind of purchases that made Kody's dream of being the provider patriarch nothing more than an expensive illusion. There was no $70,000 sitting in a savings account. That kind of money didn't exist in their world. Desperate, Kody latched onto the one fantasy that had always given him comfort: control through defiance. "I'll appeal," he declared, "all the way to the Supreme Court if I have to." But his lawyer, calm, clinical, and utterly unsympathetic, crushed that dream. "Kody," the man said flatly, "you have no grounds for appeal. None. The ruling was airtight. The evidence was overwhelming. If you appeal, you'll only throw another $20,000 down the drain and end up exactly where you started. It's over. You lost. Now you have to pay." The words hit like a sledgehammer. And so began the next phase of Kody's downfall, the desperation phase. He couldn't sell the land. The lien made sure of that. He couldn't refinance the house. They were already drowning in debt. Every avenue was blocked. Every escape hatch welded shut. Until he thought of her, Mary, his first wife. The one he had humiliated, sidelined, and emotionally abandoned. The one who had waited years for crumbs of affection and finally stopped waiting. He picked up his phone. His face was tight, his voice cold. He wasn't calling to ask, he was calling to command. According to an insider, the call was nothing short of catastrophic. Kody launched into his usual tirade, the betrayal, the injustice, the attack on the family. He framed it as everyone's problem. We're a family, he insisted. You need to liquidate some of your assets. Your business, you're in. This affects all of us. There was a pause, a long, piercing silence. Then came Mary's voice. Calm, controlled, terrifying in its composure. No, Kody, she said. He blinked. What? What do you mean, no? And then she dismantled him, piece by piece, word by word, with the precision of a woman who had spent years learning how to stay silent and now understood the power of her voice. Let me be clear, she said. This isn't a family problem. This is a you and Robyn problem. You told Janelle to spend her money on your land. You promised her that lot was hers. And then you tried to take it from her. I had nothing to do with it. The judgment is against you two, not me. My name isn't on it. So no, I won't be giving you a single penny. Kody sputtered, reaching for the only weapon he had left, emotional manipulation. But Mary, we're a family. We help each other. Her reply was the death knell of their spiritual marriage. A family? She said softly. When was the last time you treated me like your wife? You can't ignore me for a decade, then remember me only when you need my money. My future is mine, Kody. You made it clear I'm not part of yours. Click. The call ended. The cord was cut. The patriarch had been dethroned by silence. Inside the McMansion, the atmosphere curdled into quiet panic. The walls themselves seemed to close in. The lien on the Coyote Pass property was no longer just a legal issue. It was a chokehold. It was wrapped around Robyn's dream lot, the very piece of land Kody had promised would become her forever home. Now it was poisoned, encumbered, worthless. Robyn's composure began to crack. You promised me, Kody, she cried, pounding her fist on the counter. You promised we'd build here. You said this would be our legacy. Now we can't even touch it. Janelle is holding our future hostage. Her tears weren't just sadness, they were fear. Fear that the dream was dead. Fear that the king she had chosen was nothing more than a broken man. Weeks passed. Then months. Still no payment. No resolution. Until one morning, a knock came at the door. A process server, the same one who'd delivered the lawsuit, handed Kody a thick envelope. This time, it wasn't just a judgment. It was foreclosure. Janelle wasn't waiting anymore. She had initiated legal proceedings to auction off Kody and Robyn's property to satisfy the debt. A sheriff's sale. A public humiliation. The nightmare became real. Their dream lot, the jewel of Coyote Pass, was about to go to the highest bidder. The panic was nuclear. Robyn reportedly collapsed in tears. Kody was silent, a hollow man staring into the abyss of his own making. And then, out of desperation, came the last unthinkable move. A phone call. Not to a lawyer. Not to Mary, to Robyn's parents. The Sullivans, a quiet, modest people, became the last hope for the fallen patriarch. Robyn, sobbing, reportedly told them everything. The lawsuit, the lien, the looming auction. But she framed it as persecution, Kody's ex-wives ganging up to destroy their family. Her parents believed her. Out of love and fear for their daughter's stability, they agreed to help. They took out a home equity loan on their own house, their retirement, their safety net, all to save Kody and Robyn from their own ruin. And with that, the proud patriarch of sister wives became what he had always feared most, a dependent. The cashier's check arrived at Janelle's attorney's office days later. The lien was lifted. The judgment was satisfied. No apology. No admission. Just quiet surrender. Janelle didn't celebrate publicly. She didn't gloat. She simply deposited the money, nearly $80,000 in total, and started building a life of her own. A real home. A peaceful one. The concrete pad at Coyote Pass remains, cold, silent, and unmovable. A monument not to Kody's leadership, but to his downfall. A scar carved into the earth, forever reminding him of the day the quiet wife fought back, and won. Reminding him of the day the quiet wife fought back, and won.